Hey everyone, so I am doing the first Primetime Crisis log on Dragon Ball Super. If you followed me back on my own channel, I started reviewing that as it came out with John Johnsick and Kieran Jones. At a point, all three of us got super busy and we just couldn't keep up with it week to week, and there's an episode of that where we mention a possible future Trunks storyline with him coming back. And those reviews are just audio. They're just audio with like a title card with the episode's name on it. And that specific review, got pulled by Toei Animation. And then they did this story arc, which has striking similarities to the potential storyline Kieran Jones, John, and I came up with. I don't know, coincidence? Or did they steal our idea? Whatever. Okay, so I haven't talked a lot about Dragon Ball Super as a whole. I want to go back and do discussion reviews on the first arc, the second arc, and the third arc. The Battle of Gods stuff, the Resurrection F stuff, and then the Universe 6 tournament stuff. But right now I'm just going to do week-to-week episode reviews of the current arc, which is the Future Trunks stuff. Now, I was going to try and do this when the first episode hit, and then I didn't, and then I was going to try and do this when the second episode hit, and I didn't, and now I'm going to do this with the third episode of the arc. So we're talking about episodes 47, 48, and 49, which are the first three episodes of the arc. And part of the reason I kept putting it off is because I didn't have anything to say. There was an interview done with Toriyama before, maybe a month before this arc hit, where he described what this was with Black Goku and the Future Trunks stuff and everything. And that interview had more plot details than episodes 47 and 48. So just because of that, I was like, well, what's the point of reviewing them? They just kept confirming things we already knew was going to happen. So whatever. So now we're back and we're going to do we're going to do those three episodes. I won't wait to do chunks of episodes anymore. I just wanted to do it for this initial startup. Now, Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball had sagas, and the Super has arcs. Now, semantics, whatever, but I think that's actually true by nature of the stories as well. If you sit down and you watch the Saiyan saga, it is a legitimate saga. It is spanning tons of episodes. It is this journey for the characters, and then you come off and you do the Namekian saga, and that's a saga, and then you do the Frieza saga, and that's a saga. You do the Android saga, it's a saga. You do the Cell stuff, it's a saga. It's literally a journey with these characters over many years, many battles, many adventures that all culminate in a very specific story. And Battle of the Gods is an arc. Battle of the Gods is like 10, 15 episodes that detail a specific event. Same with Resurrection F, and same with the Universe 6 stuff, which is not a knock on them, but because I like them all. I actually think Dragon Ball Super is doing a good job so far, and the Universe 6 tournament stuff I thought was great. But my issue has just kind of been that they're kind of wrapping up too fast, and I was kind of hoping the Universe 6 tournament stuff would last longer, and it didn't. And my big hope for the Future Trunks arc is that it actually becomes a saga, that the Black Goku stuff spans a long period of time and involves some really epic moments along the way as opposed to just a particular event. I don't want it to just be Trunks comes back from the future, Black Goku comes back from the future, and now it's all these episodes with him being fought, and then it's over. I want this to be like a status quo for a while, like the other sagas are. That said, this stuff's really exciting. This stuff is really interesting so far. What we have, basically, is at the end of episode 46, we cut forward to Future Trunks, and then episode 47 is almost entirely with Future Trunks. Now, the way Dragon Ball Super has been operating is that the Battle of the Gods movie and Resurrection F, the movie, were turned into the first two arcs of the series. And Toriyama, in the meantime, was working on the manga. And the animation has since caught up with the actual manga, and what Toriyama has done is that he's written out this outline of how this particular arc is supposed to be done. So while he's working on the manga, the animators are putting out the episodes, and while they're trying to do that, while they're trying to put this together and get a little bit ahead of their schedule, they put out the filler arc, which is that clone Vegeta stuff, and they did a little bit of that in between Resurrection and Battle of Gods, but that's mostly there to like tie in how Goku and Vegeta become students of Whis and Beerus, although they don't explain the thing everyone wanted them to explain, which is, how does Vegeta get to Super Saiyan Blue? Now, it's mentioned that he didn't become a Super Saiyan God, that he just pulled himself and willed himself to become a Super Saiyan Blue. But there should have been an episode, an arc somewhere, that dealt with Goku and Vegeta transforming into Super Saiyan Blues for the first time. Their energy transforms into that at some point, but I really wanted to see the first transformation. We never got that, but whatever. And so this particular arc of Super is being built off of the notes Toriyama gave the studio, which is how he says it. That might not necessarily be the case, but that's how Toriyama is explaining it. And so there's that filler arc with clone Vegeta stuff that's just kind of that ends with us flashing forward to future Trunks. Now, Toriyama was also really forgetful. When he was doing Super, he had to go back and reread Dragon Ball Z because he thought Super Saiyan's hairs just got longer. He forgot that it was an active transformation from Super Saiyan to Super Saiyan 2 to Super Saiyan 3. There's lots of like continuity things here and there that just come from Toriyama forgetting that certain things are plot points. And so there are little details in this that I want to read into, but I don't want to get my hopes up. So another small thing is that Trunks' hair is blue, which I don't mind. I think that's cool. I think that works. But it's white in the original animation, and it's white for Kid Trunks, but future Trunks is in with blue hair. Which, with the way it's animated, I think it looks better. I can also see Kid Trunks growing up and having that hair color, but whatever. If the blue hair thing is just minor, I don't want to risk the earring thing for Black Goku to just be minor. I want that to be an actual plot point. But I don't want to predict too much on what that could be, just because I don't want to get my hopes up for that. So episode 47 is Goku, or is future Trunks, running away from Goku Black, constantly just narrowly escaping, and he mentions at some point that he's learned to sense energy. So this particular Goku is getting stronger as time goes on. And Bulma has gathered, after a year of these attacks, enough energy to send Trunks back into the past once. And it's going to be a one-way trip. And then Bulma dies after an attack with Goku Black, and then Trunks runs to find cover, and he runs into Mai, who in the current timeline has been turned into a kid, and so as the future goes on, she gets older, which means like there are some weird sliding events and parallels between this dimension and the past dimension, because it's not a linear timeline. It's not. It's two different dimensions and alternate realities. But the Mai thing apparently is a constant between the two. And it looks like they've got a thing for each other, like they're almost dating. And then she dies in trying to get Trunks to go forward and get into the past. And so episode 47 ends with Mai dying and Goku Black, or Black Goku, appearing for the first time in front of us, and Trunks holding Mai's body. And then episode 48 is Trunks going Super Saiyan, having a small fight with Goku Black, clearly being outmatched, and then creating a diversion to go to the time machine and get to the past. And then when he gets himself to the past, he's injured. And Kid Trunks is thrown off by this, because now there's an older version of him there, and then there's a running gag of like, oh, maybe it's Vegeta's illegitimate son, and Trunks has a brother, but it's not that, and they just explain that in the next episode. When he wakes up, he sees Goku standing in front of him, who arrived there after Bulma sees future Trunks laying there unconscious, and she calls Whis and Beerus and Goku and everyone to gather and see what the emergency is. And then when Trunks wakes up, he sees Goku, and he mistakes it for Goku Black, and then launches at him. And then episode 49 opens with Trunks calming down and realizing, okay, he made it to the past. and he's surprised Goku's there because in his world Goku died during the Cell stuff and he never came back, and then this Goku says, well, a lot's happened here since then. And so now Trunks is relaying the events to everyone as to what's going on in the future, which is basically a year ago a guy showed up who looked exactly like Goku and started eradicating everyone on the planet. And he mentions that Goku Black has done this to numerous other worlds and peoples. And Goku Black shows up and saying that he's going to take everyone out on the planet in trying to seek justice, whatever that means. And Goku Black is progressively getting stronger as battles go on. And he's got one of the earrings, the Potera earrings, the fusion earrings that the Kais wear. But those earrings, but he doesn't have the second one. So it might be... It's very difficult to tell who Goku Black is. He might be part of a fusion, he might not be. It's very confusing, but I think it's kind of an interesting mystery. And Trunks has been dealing with him alone this whole time because all the other Z Fighters have died since the android stuff. And there's actually a pretty cool flashback where you find out that with instructions from the Kais, he's able to take out Deborah and Babidi, and so Majin Buu never existed on their, or was never revived on their world. And so there's a very clear divergence between the two, which I think is cool. And so in relating these events, Bulma finds a memo left by just this big collection of notes from future Bulma to past Bulma that relay how the time machine works and how to get him back to the future. And everyone's plan is basically, okay, now that you've got all this equipment and everything, let's figure out a way to get the time machine going. Let's go back to Trunks' time and take out Goku Black. And Vegeta mistakes future Trunks as running away. He thinks future Trunks came back to the past as a means of escape, but Bulma corrects him and says, no, it's because Bulma wanted Trunks to get back to the past to give us this information. And there's an interesting pride thing, which is Vegeta's always in battle armor, and Trunks doesn't need his sword right now, but he still straps it on, and he says it's because he likes having it. And it's a nice, interesting father-son moment where, like, clearly Vegeta has rubbed off on Trunks in some ways, where Trunks is, just by the very nature of the world he comes from, but also because of who his father is just more at home with battle. But at the same time, he's kind of softer, like on his mom's side, and so every battle he's in is a fight for survival. It's not a exercise, and I think that's interesting. I wish he had the long hair from the end of the android stuff. The way he's drawn, he looks as young as he did when he first came back to the past. He doesn't look like as old as he was at the end of the Cell stuff. And I kind of wish Future Trunks just had a better, older character model. His costume's great. I love like the bandana around him and like zipping up the jacket and the sword redesign and everything, that's much bigger. I think the design aesthetically for the most part is great. I just wish he looked a little bit older. And so Goku and Future Trunks now have a bit of a sparring session just to gauge where Goku Black is on their power scale. And Trunks powers up to Super Saiyan 2 immediately, and so does Goku, but there's an animation mistake, because in translation, it's very clear that Goku says, I'm going Super Saiyan 2 as well, and the animation has like the electricity around him and stuff, so it's indicative of Super Saiyan 2, but the hair is Super Saiyan 1, which bugs me. It's not parted the way Super Saiyan 2 hair is parted. And the same thing with Trunks. Trunks' hair looks exactly like it does for Super Saiyan 2, but there should be a different sort of... The hair should part a different way than it does for Super Saiyan 2, but whatever, that's a nitpick. So Goku and Trunks have a bit of a brief sparring match, and Goku powers up to Super Saiyan 3, and Trunks has no idea what that is, obviously. And so he says Goku Black is either just as strong as you are now, or stronger. But it's also a bit of a misreading, because that's Super Saiyan 3 Goku, that's not Super Saiyan Blue Goku. There's a completely different level of power Goku has gone on to with that type of energy. And so it raises questions about the power scaling. Because if Trunks barely escapes with his life when fighting someone, it doesn't mean anything, because by the standards of Dragon Ball Super, by the time we've gotten to Super Saiyan Blue, their power levels are so beyond that Trunks is not a good gauge for anything. Unless Goku is actively holding back, which might be the case. We'll have to see. So a lot of that's interesting. I I like Goku's use of Super... I like Super, all in all's use of the base form more, and I like that Super Saiyan hasn't gone away just because we have Super Saiyan Blue, that there is a use for the base form, there's a use for the Super Saiyan form, there's a use for Super Saiyan 2, and there's a use for Super Saiyan 3, and then there's a use for Blue. Like, there is a clear progression, and we aren't just forgetting them and powering up to the max all the time. That there are occasions where Super Saiyan will do the job, and even so, Super Saiyan has a weak point, and so you still will get battle damage only acting on Super Saiyan form. I think all that's cool, I think all that's interesting. At the end of the episode, Black has this thing called the Ring of Time, which activates and opens a portal to the past and follows Trunks there. And so the end of the episode is Goku Black and Goku squaring off with each other, and the next episode is going to be Goku versus Goku Black, which I'm really excited for. This is good. This is interesting stuff. I'm a little bit worried about this getting convoluted, because Goku Black's power has to be explained in some way so he's able to keep up with Super Saiyan Blue. Because if he's not, it'd be anticlimactic, and if he is, there needs to be some explanation for it. So Dragon Ball Z power levels, in general, were so complicated from the very beginning that it's going to need some sort of explanation for why Goku Black's a threat at all. That said, though, I love his design. I love how it's Goku with just a little bit of a darker skin tone, but also black clothes and the red belt. I think the design looks really good. I have some guesses as to who he could be. Ultimately, though, I do want him to be Goku. I don't want him to be some mind-controlled entity. I don't want him to be something that just took the form of Goku. I want him to be a version of Goku. Because having Goku be in places dark is interesting. Goku Black talks about Saiyans as if he isn't one. And I don't know how I feel about that without knowing more about his history. So a lot of this I'm really curious about, a lot of this I'm really interested by, and I just want to make sure, I really just want to hope it works towards the end. I don't want to speculate too much and get too excited and then eventually get let down by it. I want this to be good. So I'm really excited for the fight coming up next episode. I want Goku Black and Goku's battle to extend past just one episode, though, and I want it to extend just past one altercation. I don't want Goku Black's entire arc to be, he showed up in the past now, and now every episode of the arc will just be the continued struggle against him, and then he'll be defeated and the arc's over. I want this to be a saga. I want Goku Black to remain here, and the battle against him is a constant status quo for a number of episodes. I want this to really feel like the first Dragon Ball Super epic. Because the Universe 6 stuff is really good. That's when that show found its voice. But I want that to remain longer. I want that to keep going. I felt like the Universe 6 stuff was really just, this is where we are now. This is where, summarizing all the movies and the events and parallels and stuff, this is where the characters are now, and this is the state of the universe now. Now let's go and do our thing, and let's go back to do Dragon Ball style storytelling. I want this, in some ways, to be a bit more decompressed, just so it matches with the way Dragon Ball Z had that saga feel to it. I want Goku Black to be here for a while. That all said, I'm really excited for this. I love having Future Trunks back. I love Future Trunks. Everyone loves Future Trunks. He's great. I love the design for Goku Black. I love some of the fight scenes we got here. I love the idea of Trunks taking out Deborah and Babidi before Boo's awakened in that world, so there was a clear divergence there. I like some of the parallels between Future Trunks and Vegeta, and I like how every character is factoring into this to some degree. Even Piccolo has stuff to do, even Krillin has stuff to do in the ongoing storytelling of Dragon Ball Super in a way they didn't at the end of Dragon Ball Z. So I like this. I'm excited for the next episode. Let me know what you think in the comments, whether you agree or disagree with anything I said. What is your hope and what is your prediction for who Goku Black's going to end up being? What's with the Kai that we see falling in the opening title sequence for the show? What's that about? Lots of balls in the air. I'm really excited for this. I'll be back with you next week to talk about more Dragon Ball Super, but until then, let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you next time.